Okay guys, so today we are going to be learning about a specific shape. We did talk about this during our live session yesterday, but we are going to be, we are going to be introducing a new shape every day and talking about the attributes of that shape, okay? So you might be thinking, what is the word attribute? Okay, attribute just means things that describe that shape or that thing. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the attributes today of a square and what makes a square a square. So what do you call this shape? Okay, we know that we call this shape a square. S-Q-U-A-R-E. So this is a square. Now there are a couple of things that make a square, and that's what we're going to find out today. So we're going to learn the definition of a square, the characteristics of a square, or what things a square has, the attributes that a square has, examples of a square, and non-examples of a square. So what is a square and what is not a square? Okay, first we're going to talk about examples of squares and non-examples of squares. So down here you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 examples of squares, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 examples of shapes that are not squares. So first I'm going to go down here, and if you can see my mouse highlighting, I'm going to actually make my screen a little bigger. Scroll down. Down here we can see these are all examples of squares, and these are examples of shapes that are not squares, okay? Now, first let's look at all the squares. We know that they're all squares because they all have 4 sides that are equal in length. So you can see that this green square has 4 equal sides. This red square has 4 equal sides. This yellow square has 4 equal sides. This green square down here has 4 equal sides. This peach square over here has 4 equal sides. And this blue square right here has 4 equal sides. A square must have 4 equal sides to be a square. Something else that a square must have is a right angle. Now remember, yesterday in our live session we talked about what right angles are. We're going to review that in our next video, but I want to review here just quickly what a right angle is. Remember, a right angle are angles that are perfectly square. And remember, an angle, I'll use my yellow pen to show you, are the corners of our shapes, right? Basically, an angle is where the sides meet. So you can see here's this side, and they meet right here at this right angle. That's perfectly square. If you can see me on the bottom right of your screen, I'm showing you with my hands a right angle. Okay, so all of these angles are right. Now something that I do want to go over, I'm going to erase all of the little lines that I made showing you that all of the sides are equal, are these examples of squares right here. So we have this one at the bottom and this one right here. Now you might want to say that they're diamonds because they're turned a little bit on their side, but a diamond is actually not a shape. It's kind of a made-up shape, okay? The only thing that we have is a rhombus, which is this shape over here, which I'll get to in a couple days, and a square on its side, okay? Diamond is actually not the name of a shape, which is interesting for you guys to know because we all think a diamond is something that looks like this. But a diamond actually doesn't exist. A diamond is just a square that's turned on its side. So these two are still squares because they have 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. Now these are not squares. Here we have an arrow, not a square, a circle, a rhombus, a rectangle, a trapezoid. This looks like a square, but look, it doesn't have right angles. It has curved corners, so it can't be a square. We have another, this is a parallelogram or a 4-sided shape. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides here, which is a hexagon, a triangle, and another rectangle. Now let's look at these shapes. We have one rectangle here and one rectangle here. We know that they are not squares because the sides are not equal. So if you can see right here, the sides that are going up and down on this shape are longer than the sides that are going side to side. So these cannot be square. This cannot be a square because the sides are not equal. Down here it's the same. These two sides going side to side are longer than the ones going up and down. Because all the sides are not equal, this cannot be a square, even though the rectangle does have 4 right angles. Okay? Alright, so moving on, we're going to go down. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Alright, so here we can see the characteristics that a square has to have. So a square has to have 4 sides, 4 angles. All the angles have to be right angles. Now remember, a right angle looks like this. Perfectly square. Okay. All sides have to be the same length. Okay. And it could be all colors and sizes. So like I showed you down here, we have 2 green squares, a red square, a yellow square, a peach square, a blue square. Doesn't matter, just as long as all the sides are equal and all of the angles are right angles that look like this. Okay? Now, moving down, we're going to play a game. Is it a square? Okay? So we have to go down and look. Is it a square? Is this a square? Yes, it is a square. We know because all of the sides are equal and all of the angles are right angles. Remember, a right angle looks like this, perfectly square. Okay, moving on. Is this a square? Yes, all of the sides are equal and all of the angles are right angles. Now this one, remember, is tricky. You're going to want to say diamond, but this is not a diamond. This is a square. Okay? This is a square. It's just turned on its side. So if I were to unlock this and just move it back to the right position, then look. Yes, it is a square. All the sides are equal and all of the angles are right. I can move it back to the position it was in, and nope, this doesn't make it a diamond. This is still a square. All sides are equal and all angles are right. Is this a square? Yep, it is. This is the same one, similar to what we were looking at before. All sides are equal and all the angles are right. Is this a square? No, it does have 4 sides, but the angles are not right angles and the sides are not equal. Is this a square? Yes. All sides are equal and all angles are right. Okay, now we talked about this briefly. It might look kind of like a square. The sides are equal, but look at these angles. These aren't really angles because they're curved. Angles have to be straight, okay, like this. Angles are made with straight lines. So we can have an obtuse angle, we can have an acute angle, or we can have a right angle, but all of the lines making those angles have to be straight. So this might look like a square, but it is not because the corners are curved. Now remember yesterday I said a shape cannot be a shape unless it is completely filled in or connected on the sides. So if I were to go around with my pencil and fill this in, this would be a square. But if I left the opening, this would not be a square because we have this opening right here. All right, so remember, a square has to have 4 sides, 4 angles. All the angles have to be right angles. All the sides have to be the same length, and it can be any color or any size. All right, thanks guys for sticking around to learn about squares with me, and coming up next, we will review angles.